Hi, I'm Danny de Reybekill. These are my 5 staples of the Birmingham music scene. This whistle-stop tour around Brum, we're heading to what I'm going to call the new artist hotspot venue. It's the Sunflower Lounge. The venue is really small, but it means that it's super intimate. It's a real nice trade-off when you go to a really small venue and you can see everybody's eyes, you get their emotion. That's why I think this as a new talent hotspot works really well, because what it does is allows new artists and people who have maybe performed once or twice to come into a small space that is a professional music venue at the top caliber of music quality in places that you can play. It's got a great reputation as well, great sound system that was redone. I've seen a lot of new and emerging artists performing here as well. Bryony Williams played a stonker of a set. In terms of biggest names that have played here, Etta Bond, she's a real good rising talent from London. Koji Radical, he's as well. Even The Feeling have played here. In one sentence, Sunflower Lounge, top quality, local and emerging talent. All right, so we're heading up next to our next venue. It's a little bit unassuming in that it's actually a Northern Soul club primarily, but the brilliant thing about it is that it's able to turn its hand to different genres, different sounds, different feels, depending on the mood, depending on the night. It's called the Night Owl. One of the shining jewels in the crown that's the Night Owl is an event called Neighbourhood. Now Neighbourhood is fantastic because it's been able to galvanise a lot of young musicians who don't really have one spot, like venue-wise. They're kind of being session musicians playing wherever, you know, the money takes them. But this is one spot where actually they're able to come and just jam with other musicians, you know, that they may not see on the circuit very often. And I think that's what you want. You don't want like elitism when it comes to being a welcoming kind of event. It's able to turn its hand to a lot of different genres, hip-hop/grime, but then also jazz. There have been some brilliant EP launches, bands like Fabrique who've been going for 10 or so years in the city. Lady Sanity, who's really well known in Birmingham, she's really on the rise. She's done loads and loads of gigs here. Inside, it looks wicked. Like the pink theme carries on inside. Great lighting. It's a unique spot that does much more than what it looks like. King's Heath, a few pubs in King's Heath, there's the Goose and a few others, but the one we're going to go and check out is called the Hare Hounds. It's somewhere that started off with the likes of UB40, most famously. Venue 2, which is actually just up there, hosts some of the best D&B nights that I've had in Birmingham. The likes of Brian G, Goldie, LTJ Bookham. Those for me are like my favourites because they're great that I get to see in my own city. Really good sound system as well. For a venue that's only, what, like 200, 300 capacity? And for that, like, it packs a punch. It really does. But then you go down to like the localized people, like quite often they have acoustic nights and sessions, but have the likes of like Hannah Brown, Ed Geeter, I saw him playing a homecoming gig here. There are grime gigs that go on here. Listening sessions do an electronic open mic night. The Shadow City that do a lot of the house stuff, they get like Horse Meat Disco and all sorts of the electronic and house and techno world involved. And then also Left Foot venues that do work out of the venue. Left Foot put on all sorts of stuff from the likes of Mr. Scruff through to Ghost Poet. It's such a broad range, and I think that's why people will always come back to this as the music mecca of Brum, because it does everything. It's for the first place I've been to where I understand the concept of having a local, because it crosses the barrier between being a sick venue, but also being somewhere where you can sit down and have a pint with your friend and like meet them for lunch. If I was going to give one bit of advice, I'd say on a Saturday afternoon, make sure you check out the back bar, but only after 6 o'clock. You'd have thought that we were kind of leaving the scene, but we're not, because coming up on the right is Amusement 13. It kind of ticks another box of Birmingham, which is that it's understated. So as you can tell, like when you have a look at the front, it doesn't look like anything special. turn up on a night, get here early, because here, there's a crowd. Once you're in though, full acoustic void sound systems, which are top of the range, like the best that you will get. Great visuals, great acoustics, brilliant looking space. It's nice and raw, but it's with a little polished finish, and just beautiful music from all corners. There's a club night called Free Range, which recently have been celebrating 10 years. They brought guys like Koki through, guys from like the original dubstep 1.0 family. These are the guys that founded dubstep, that led to people like Scream and Benga. It led to the massive American dubstep scene that is, completely taken over. And they get to come and play here, in front of 800 people. One of my favourite nights was a night that Dan Blindside put on for Breakthrough, who are guys who have been putting on events for the last 15 years in the city, 20 years almost. It was liquid drum and bass to the rafters. There was, gods of the scene like Caliber. LSB had just released a new album. Got to just, shake his hand and have a chat with him. That was a proper fangirl moment for me. That to me shows that they've got class, they've got style. A close favourite in my kind of underground music list. Amusement 13, raw, underground, musical passion. So the next place we're heading to is a very, very young venue. It's run by a very, very nice guy, as usual, super impassioned by music and making sure that he's showcasing the finest of the city. It's called Cafe Artum. So yeah, this is Cafe Artum. It's slightly different to the other spaces in that it isn't a pub and it isn't somewhere that's an underground nightclub. It's kind of a really small, condensed version of all of the other places in that it has all of the same love and passion. It does, cute coffee, it does food, artwork, it sells vinyl, obviously that's its main shtick, but also, yeah, it hosts little pre-parties. It's very small, but with that comes like a beautiful intimacy. With regard to who we've had here, who I've seen, there's a guy who writes brilliantly about the rave era around the country. He's called Tim Lawrence. He did a book reading here a couple of months ago, really well attended, a great atmosphere. It's a venue that's held pre-parties for the likes of Mehmet Aslan, for Alexander Nutt, for Henry Wu, and those are names that I was educated by the guys that run the place. When it comes to vinyl record stores, quite often they're a little bit uptight and they're a bit snooty, but these guys are actually willing to do a bit of educating if you want it, give you some advice, give you some tips. They know heaps about Birmingham as well. Thinking about the people that work there, Holly and Christy, you couldn't meet two more friendly people if you tried. This is basically a new space for vinyl musos of all ages. It's not specifically for one crowd. Cafe Artum in one sentence, I'd say new, quirky, great for a stop off for some lunchtime education. Thinking about why this place is so special, I was born and grown up here, this is all I know. I've dipped in and out of other cities, but for me, Birmingham holds some extra passion that I don't think other cities have in the same way. Obviously I'm biased, I'm going to say that, but for me there's a real youthful keenness to dispel any myths and previous kind of incarnations of what Birmingham's music scene was. Yeah, it has an amazing rock scene and reggae as well, has heaps of history. And I know I've talked a lot about the underground scene, but even in the world of pop, the electro pop in the city is phenomenal. People like Brad O'Neill, Esther Turner, they recently played at the Sunflower Lounge and blew it away. The grime scene, the UK's grime scene in general is so healthy. And in the same way that there was a dubstep 2.0, there was also a grime 2.0, which is coming forward. It doesn't matter what colour you are, you can be successful in this city. It doesn't matter what your roots are, you can be successful. I'm pushing for the next generation to come and experience all of the different types of venues, of sounds, of groups of people. Take your pick, there's more than enough to go around.